welcome to PS4 and my review of the Order 1886. Haven't done a review before, so I thought I'd do it in various categories. We're going to look at characters, we're going to look at the looks of the game, some gameplay, the story, and the conclusions I have of the game itself. So the first thing we're going to talk about are characters. So one of the strengths of the Order is its character-driven storyline. The characters are very well drawn, they're beautifully voice acted. They are, as you can see, superbly animated as well, look very lifelike, and you don't have that kind of dead fish eye look as you get in a lot of games. They've done a lot of care and attention to getting the characters right. But your main protagonist, the man with a magnificent moustache, is Galahad. Galahad is the only playable character. He is stoic, he is a warrior, he's been alive for a number of centuries fighting for the Order, and as a result is ruthlessly efficient, I mean violently efficient, at the same time is very loyal to his cause, and it is him understanding that the cause is not what he thought it was, which is one of the foundations of the game. Then you have Igraine. Now Igraine is a female. She is very capable, very strong. She is Galahad's former pupil. She is incredibly capable, very ruthless as well, and also quite cheeky. There's some lovely dialogue and banter between her and Galahad, and her and Lafayette, who we come to next. Lafayette is the youngest of the Order. He is a knight in training, not yet been inducted into the Order. He's been trained by Percival, who we'll come to next. And he's fun, actually. He's free, he's easy, he's French. He loves the ladies, he loves life. But there is a sadness in him, and there is a sadness running through a lot of these characters, actually, throughout the whole of the game. Then you have Sir Percival. Now, Sir Percival is a 600-year-old knight, and he is very experienced. All the other knights defer to his judgment, but at the same time, he's beginning to believe that what he's been fighting for all these years is not what he thought. He believes there may be some corruption or something running badly throughout the Order. So part of his story is his attempt to discover that. Then you have Lakshmi. Now, Lakshmi is the leader of the Rebel Alliance and is fighting against the United India Company, who become a character in itself throughout the game. She's very mysterious, and I can't really tell you very much more about her without spoiling plot. And one of my favourites is Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla is like the Q to the Order's Bond, and he provides them with all the cool weapons. And Nikola Tesla was actually an 18th century scientist who specialised in machinery and particularly around electricity. And there's some very cool gadgets that he's designed for you. But all of the characters, whether it is the Chancellor of the Order, the man in charge, whether it is the Knight Commander, who is the person in charge of all the soldiers and all of their missions, whether it is incidental characters, just characters that pop in for a couple of seconds at a time, every single one is beautifully animated, superbly voice acted, and supported by a script that, although sometimes does fall into the realms of cliche, does actually serve a very solid and very engaging story throughout. This is without a doubt one of the strengths of the Order 1886. It is a linear story, but it is well drawn, well acted, to the most part well scripted, and it serves the narrative well. The thing that has carried through the whole of the Order 1886's story are the graphics. And there is absolutely no doubt that this is one of the best looking games, not the best looking game I have ever seen in my life. I mean, just look at that fire effect. That's Crystal Palace, ladies and gentlemen. If you live in London, you might be familiar with it, but probably not burning with a whopping great Zeppelin crash landed on top of it. It's the attention to detail that really is impressive here. The way the cloth moves, the animations, the incidental details. You can see here, for instance, the whole of London below them. This is an interactive. We're going to rappel down the side of an airship any second now. The way the cloth moves, there's no clipping, no nothing. It's fluid, and it is absolutely stunning. Frame by frame, second by second, the most glorious and gorgeous game. And the cutscenes run directly into the gameplay. There is no change. All of this stuff you're seeing here is actually with the in-game engine. So when you're playing the game, you are playing in this kind of a detail. It is just gloriously beautiful. And that does go into the combat. The combat is also gloriously brutal as well. You can't see very well here, but limbs do get detached and heads get blown off and all sorts of things go on. It is just lovely. I mean, look at the detail just on the jacket there. The detail to the reloads, the animations of that rather impressive little cannon. So what you get is a game that you wander through and constantly say to yourself, how on earth is this happening? How can I possibly be looking at this on a home console? If this is the standard of graphics the PlayStation can achieve going forward, then we have a very bright graphical future. I can't wait to see what Naughty Dog does with it, to be honest. I think it's going to be just lovely when Uncharted finally comes out, despite the delay. So a gorgeous game. Everyone that says that how beautiful the game is, they're absolutely right. It is stunning. However, you can see at the top of that screen those black bars. They are there throughout the whole of the game. Now, it was supposed to give the game a cinematic feel. And I get that through the most part. But what you're going to see in a second is an example of where that cinematic feel actually interrupts and makes gameplay very, very difficult. So you see here I'm crouching in cover, being attacked by guys, and those black bars prevent me from seeing who's shooting at me. I duck down, they disappear. I pop up, and I've got to guess where they're coming from. So next time Ready at Dawn, just give us a full screen. So the gameplay itself is going to be an awful lot of shooting blokes. Yes, this is not about shooting werewolves, it's about shooting blokes. We'll come to werewolves in a second. It's a very competent third-person cover shooter. It's got interesting weapons, brutal melee kills. There's an awful lot going for it. It does it very well, very fluidly, very brutally. It's a good cover shooter, absolutely. Interesting weapons as well, but we've got here an example of the Blackwater. This is a special kind of skill of the knights. I've been taken down. I can drink this special thing around my neck. I can mash the X button and it gets me back on my feet. The other thing that Blackwater allows us to do is a slowed down kill. So we go into a kind of a bullet time thing. When the barrier runs out, the bullet time finishes, but it can get rid of loads of guys. There's also some misjudged stealth as well. I mean, the stealth is excellent, one-shot kill with the crossbow, but it's very brutal and there is no non-lethal takedowns. But it works perfectly well. So, weapons. This is the thermite rifle. It puts clouds of magnesium and you fire a flare into it and it blows up. The arc gun. It blows people's limbs off. You might see a head being detached in a second. Oh, it's lovely. It's my favourite weapon. This is my favourite part of the game, this particular section, of course. We've seen the rocket launcher already. That's fantastic, but will not allow you to duck into cover, which I will talk about a little bit later on when I do my sum up. But it was just for a few seconds. You used it for about a minute and a half, but it was blooming lovely. You've also got the much vaunted QTE sections, the quick time events. And I didn't find them an issue, actually. They were perfectly competent. And here we go. You'll have a lengthy, generally a lengthy cutscene. I'm not involved in this at all, I'm watching. And then suddenly you will get this. And you'll have to time buttons. Sometimes you're asleep watching the animations and forget to press the buttons. They're very quick, they're contextual. I've actually got 3 options here of how I can kill him. I stabbed him in the neck the first time. This time I'm just punching him in the face and I break his neck. So they're not a problem, and there you go. Fantastic little thing. In walks Percival and says, "Stop for a pint, did you?" It's very nice. Nice banter. So that is the weapons. You also... Oh, this is fighting werewolves. I'll talk about this later on. This is horrible. Yeah, they're werewolves. So, you know, the gameplay will have you sometimes having werewolves running at you. You shoot them, and then you run up to them, and you stab them. And then you run into a corner, and you shoot them, and you stab them. It's dull. These fights, though, with the massive elder lycans, only 2 of them, and they are QTEs. But have a look at this. I mean, they are so cinematic, and they're very tense, and you can mess up, and it's pretty brutal. There are some choices, but not much in it. They'll play out the same way pretty much every time, but they are dynamic and fun. Like them. We've also got some other gameplay tweaks. Nikola Tesla gives you some great tools. This is the lockpick, which is one of the best lockpicks in a game I've ever played. Really fun. This is you using the touchpad to send Morse code to a Zeppelin. Oh yes, sending Morse code to a Zeppelin to get it to come and help you out. Only happens once, but it's cool. This is a hacking tool, which allows you to hack things. This was really fun, but you don't get them enough. You don't get them enough. They're only there very often. And collectibles, which are a bloody waste of time. That newspaper, I have to read it there. If I put it down, I never see it again. It doesn't go into my inventory. I can't look at it. Here, look, there's a Sackboy, a nice little Easter egg. but it doesn't get saved into any part of my menu. I look at it there, I put it down, I will never see it again, find anything about it. There is no value to collecting these things because you're not able to go back and look at them afterwards. You have to look at them like these photographs. Great photographs. There's phonographs that you pick up. You can play them back in the menu, but you can't play them during game. So why bother? It's just awful. I don't get that at all. Oh yeah, and there's an awful lot of you wandering around very, very beautiful streets like this one. So the gameplay mechanics are solid. The cover shooting is excellent. Not stellar, but it's excellent. The QTE things, I didn't find them too intrusive, actually. The battles with the Elder Lycans, which I'll refer in my summary, they were fun and tense. Collectibles, total waste of blooming time. They don't even tell you the ones you've missed. You go through a chapter and it doesn't tell you where you've missed them, so you can't go back and look for them. So there's no trophy hunters will find that really, really frustrating. And there's those little things like the lockpick, like the thing that enables you to short circuits electrical systems, and the Morse code. They just happen to infrequently, really. They should have been more present in there. But overall, gameplay is solid, if not particularly inspiring. Now the story, like I said when I was talking about characters, is very strong, I think. It's not brilliant, but it's strong. These is the Order. The Order are King Arthur's Knights of the Round Table. They found the Holy Grail, and which, you know, in legend they're all searching for it. In this, they found the Holy Grail, which has given them very long life. This chap you're looking at right now actually fought with King Arthur, so that makes him, you know, 1,000 odd years old. A lot of the knights are in their hundreds. You know, Percival is 600, and it's suggested that Galahad is 200 or 300 years of age. And what happens is when a knight dies, another one is promoted and given a name of a knight from the Round Table. So although this is Galahad here, his real name is Grayson. The guy on the left is Sebastian, but he's called Sir Percival. So they kind of get a code name, if you like. So when they become knights, they are given a name of a knight of the Round Table, and you can only become a knight when another one dies. So there's some nice thought there. You get to see Excalibur, you get to get some of the legends of the Knights of the Round Table, and it's cool that they've been around for a very, very long time, and they've been fighting this threat. The threat, werewolves. Here's the problem. The werewolves in this game are cool. I mean, look at this. The way they transform, the brutality of them, the fact that you have these are the grunt lycans, if you like, and then you have the elder lycans. They are superb. Look at that. He's mean, he's nasty. But the thing is, you hardly ever see the blooming things. This game was vaunted as a horror title, and you actually face these on 5 separate occasions, and it's massively disappointing. What you spend most of your time doing is blowing the living crap out of people. Endless waves of rebels. The rebels who are supposed to be supporting the Lycans, although there is some intrigue around that. Are they the bad guys? Are they not? But this is it. You wander around, you shoot them in the face. And it's waves and waves of them. Oh, you'll learn to hate these guys. These specialist shotgunners are a flipping nightmare. Ooh, let's see, can we blow his head off? Yeah, there you go. No head. That's just so cool. But this is it. You're fighting humans the whole time. There are 5 different fights with werewolves. 3 of them that rinse and repeat I talked about earlier. I'll summarise that in my conclusion. And also those 2 fights with the elders, like the one we saw earlier, which are very QTE driven. Disappointing. This, I mean, I remember when I first saw the Order, it was that thing where they were being attacked by loads of Lycans in the middle of, you know, Whitechapel. It was awesome. But no, you just mow down hundreds and hundreds of generic people. Yeah, it's fun, it's stylish, it's cool. You get to use these fantastic weapons on occasion when the game lets you. But disappointing, because I wanted to beat the living crap out of werewolves, not people. People are boring. I want to shoot rabid dog people in the face. So, hopefully that's something they can put right in the sequel, which I'm sure will happen. But most of the game is centered around Galahad uncovering conspiracies and betrayal within the Order itself. And it's a story that's well told. It's very well done. I just wished that it had been more centered around the werewolves and another monster that comes in later on. is disappointing. I was looking forward to some epic battles with lycanthropes, and what I got instead was a ton of stuff shooting men in the face, wave after wave after wave of them, which, although solid and engaging, was not really what I expected from this title. So, conclusion. The Order 1886 is a great game. I really enjoyed it, actually. I engaged with the story, I engaged with the characters. I don't mind linear games. If you want to tell a really strong story, it has to be linear. Think about The Last of Us. The story in The Last of Us is linear. It goes from A to B to C to D until you finish it. And I'll come back to that parallel in a minute. I don't mind it. It's a good story, good characters. Linearity is not an issue. That's fine for me. So I have no problem with that. It's a great story. It is a phenomenal environment. They have created a world that just reeks of Victorian era. It's got that lovely grimy, they don't want to call it steampunk, but that kind of industrial feel to it. You've got the inclusion of your airships and your arc guns and that kind of stuff. It's a fascinating world that Ready at Dawn have crafted. What they haven't done is built an absolutely stellar game around it. Solid game, but not what we were expecting and not what we hoped for. So there are a couple of things in particular that are disappointing about this for me. The first is got to be the werewolves. 5 encounters with werewolves. The first, or 3 of the encounters, are the ones I showed earlier, and there's a clip running right now. The Lycan runs towards you, you shoot it, it runs away. It runs towards you, you dodge, you shoot it, it runs away. Eventually it falls over, you stab it, and then another one runs at you, you dodge it, you shoot it, it runs away, it charges at you, you shoot it, you dodge, and rinse and repeat. That happens 3 times. Lazy, rubbish, stupid, hate it. How dare they? These are blooming werewolves. I mean, they are not scary at all. And why would they just keep running at your bullets? They're not stupid. So it's just flipping rubbish. And I'm very, very upset about that. Really am, because this was what I was wanting to do. This is what the game was mooted as, a horror title, where you'd be fighting lycanthropes in a cool environment. Well, the environment's cool, but the fights are rubbish. Then you have the boss fights with the 2 elder lycans. Like I said, I liked those. They were very good. Very tense, beautifully animated, very cinematic. However, you do it twice and they're pretty much identical, unfortunately. The animations are the same, the attacks are the same, the way you deal with them are the same, which is a tragedy. They could have at least in the second, and this is the big boss fight at the end, could have put in some different animations, could have made that fight look different in texture to the first one, but they didn't. They made it the same. So in some respects, although I liked those ones, I was a little bit disappointed at the end because I felt that they hadn't, it was just lazy more than anything. They just lazily said, oh, we will cycle the same moves. That's fine. They won't notice. Well, we blooming well did, and a lot of people have criticised that. I don't mind the QTE stuff. It's very, very well done, but it's just boring because they're repeating it. And the werewolves are not scary. They're just, I don't care about them. The biggest problem for me, though, with the Order 1886 is, like I said, I have no problem with linearity in games. I don't mind a linear story. It's a better way of telling a story. When you read a book, you start at the beginning, you read through it, and you finish at the end. If you want a compelling story, linearity is a good way of making sure that that works properly. However, there is no excuse for linearity in gameplay. Now, I'm going to go The Last of Us. It's my favourite game ever. It has one of the most compelling and brilliant stories ever designed, ever put to paper in a game. The voice acting and everything in there was just superb. And everyone gets the same story. The story never changes. You can play through that game 5 or 6 times and the stories that change. There's no difference. You'll see the same cutscenes, you'll hear the same dialogue. That's fine. But that's fine. It's a strong story. However, what The Last of Us allows you to do is to play the actual arenas differently. You can be stealthy and sneak and kill. You can craft Molotov cocktails. Now, I used to like throwing a brick to attract the clickers, and throw a Molotov cocktail, and their screams will attract more zombies, all catch fire, and it's brilliant. But someone else would creep up and shiv them. Someone else would shoot them. All of us, when you play through the game, we could play it differently. There are different experiences to be had. I've played through The Last of Us 3 times on the PS3 version, once on the PS4 version. It's just magic, because you can change things up, and the AI changes things up for you as well. The Order doesn't let you do that. The Order says to you, you play the game our way. This is the bit when you sneak up and stab people. This is the bit where you have a big gun and shoot people. This is the bit where you have to indulge in button mashing. That is unforgivable. That is lazy, bad design as far as I'm concerned. I don't mind a linear story, but I don't want linear gameplay. So what I think, when the inevitable sequel happens, hopefully Ready at Dawn have listened to the people who've been criticising it, and there's been a lot of criticism levelled at this game. Not all of it fair, but actually quite a bit of it fair. The length I don't care about. I played this over in 40-minute sessions over a period of a couple of weeks. I didn't feel that it was too short. I felt I've got a good game's worth. Also, the idea about the pacing, again, if I sat down and played it from beginning to end in 6.5 hours, I probably would have noticed pacing issues, but very few people actually play like that. Most people play the same as me and will have 40-minute chunks. Didn't notice pacing issues at all. The thing for me is that every single time I play that game, it will be exactly the same experience, because I'm not giving any option of what to do. So that's what Ready at Dawn need to do. They need to take this fabulous environment they've created, this wonderful characters, this promising story, and they need to wrap it around a horror title and involve werewolves and the other monster, not going to spoiler, that comes in towards the end, that we just get teased, we don't get to fight. It needs to give that choice within what we are doing. Allow me to choose how I actually manage the level, how I use the weapons, how I use the environment, how I combat the bad guys. If they can do that, brilliant. I will buy the sequel and I will play it joyfully. If they deliver another linear story but linear gameplay, then they're finished, and no one's going to want it and no one's going to buy it, which is a shame, because there is an awful lot of potential in this franchise. But what Ready at Dawn need to do is, now they've got the environment, now they've got the characters, now they've got the story, is to actually turn it into a complete game. It feels unfinished. It feels that they spent so much time creating the world that they actually forgot to build compelling gameplay around it, which is a shame, because otherwise this would have been a 10 out of 10 title. So I'm going to give a score. Because I'm PS4, I've decided to call it the 4 score. I apologise for that. It's my channel. I'll call it whatever I like. For me, it's a 6.5 out of 10. It can't quite get to a 7 because of those, just those unforgivable things of making werewolves rubbish, and not giving me choice while I'm playing. So it is a solid 6.5. The story is compelling. The characters are great. The gameplay is solid, but it's just not inspiring. It is next-gen looks with last-gen gameplay. And that's what I feared from the beginning when I first saw the Order, what would happen, and that's what they delivered, unfortunately. So better luck next time, Ready at Dawn. I hope, upon hope, that the Order 1887, or actually 1914, I think it should have won set in the First World War, that'd be brilliant, will be a much better game. And it deserves to be, because there's a lot that this franchise can do, and a lot of places it can go, which will make it absolutely brilliant. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope you found this review interesting. Please like, favourite, subscribe. I've never done a review before, so if you want to leave a comment to let me know what you might like for next time. Is the length okay? Were the kind of categories all right? But otherwise, as always, thank you very much for watching, and happy gaming. Catch you next time. Bye-bye for now.